Me back to the Patrick Netherton Show here on 1130 The Tiger. We're pleased to welcome in national college football writer for CBS Sports and a good friend. He is Dennis Dodd joining us. Dennis, how the heck are you, man?
Patrick, I am great. Glad to be on again. How are you?
I'm doing well. I mean, other than my groove thing being a little bit tired, I'd say I'm pretty good. I got to witness LSU up close and personal last week. Northwestern State played down there. And it was a sight to behold. The offense certainly is a lot different. Were you among the many of us, and I put myself in the category, that were once again skeptical of, this is going to be a new offense this year? We've heard that refrain so many times. Did you believe it this time, or were you skeptical and now have to believe it?
I believe it. I went into the season skeptical like you about LSU, Michigan, and USC. Making all this noise about we're going to the RPOs, we're all in, we're going to do this and that. I think for better or worse, USC has done it. LSU has done it the best. Michigan, I think, has paid a lot of lip service because Harbaugh got the tight you-know-what when it got close against Army, and I saw a bunch of 12 personnel and stuff like that. I didn't see any 4 and 3 wide receiver formations, which by the way, Alabama is running as base about now.
Yeah.
But LSU is certainly the best of those who are making that conversion. But I just had this image from Texas game where they showed. I guess I shouldn't be surprised because Joe Brady and Steve Ensminger sitting elbow to elbow in the press box. I guess I'm not surprised at that, but that showed me that they're all in together, and it's worked out great.
Well, the problem is, Dennis, they've always, or not always, but a lot of times they've had good, innovative offensive minds there, guys that are willing to do it, but it's always been the head coach that's held them back. Les forever was, Les, he meddled in the offense. He was the guy that was telling them, run that ISO pitch time and time again. That was, that was Les. I guess I'm sort of surprised that a defensive-minded guy like Ed Orgeron, who I think everyone considers to be an old-school football coach, is one of these guys that's embracing it, much like Nick Saban has, that is embracing the modern college offense. I think that's the part that surprised me the most is on a 3rd and 17, we talked to Ed last week, and O said, on 3rd and 17, Steve Ensminger said, we're throwing it for the first time down, and I said, go for it.
Yeah. I just think Coach O is just matured as a coach. I'm not talking about it personally, but just as a coach. He as a rookie head coach at Ole Miss, we know how that worked out. He was, a defensive line coach extraordinaire who got passed over at USC. I went back in the offseason and looked at some of those stories. That was a really tumultuous time.
Yeah.
The entire team wanted him to take over, and they ended up, is that when they ended up, I think with Sarkisian? I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I think when you go through multiple experiences like that, you go, look, it's all about winning. It's not about my ego. It's not about how much I know. And if this is working, then you just trust the people around you. You're not caught up in not letting your assistants talk to the media because you don't trust them, or you don't trust, your players to talk to the media. They can change signals in front of 90,000 people, but they can't say 6 reporters, talk about the beat. So I think it's all that, and I think at the end of the day, and I tweeted this, I'm going to write it at some point, I think the Big 12 gets a big amount of credit, Patrick, for what's happening in college football right now. And this goes back to Bob Stoops hiring Mike Leach in 1999.
Yeah.
What was it, 99? Yeah, 99 at Oklahoma. Mike Leach is gone. We know that. He's at Washington State. But for whatever reason, that's the moment the Big 12 took on that culture of wide-open offenses and sketchy defenses to the point now, it's okay to admit if the parachute doesn't open, you can try to outscore somebody. And I think that's where Alabama's at right now. They're going to be starting 5 freshmen on defense. I think that's a little bit where LSU is right now. They probably have better defensive personnel. But that's where we are. It's easier to throw up 40 than it is to try to limit somebody to 20. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, and you're absolutely correct. I've told every defensive coordinator that I've worked with or talked to in the last probably 7-8 years that they have the worst job in America, because defensive coordinator just, you can't, and God bless them, they're innovating their butts off trying to come up with ways to stop this. Everyone's switching to 3-4s and 3-3s, and they're bringing extra safeties in, and they're doing everything they can, but. Man, it's difficult because now with the proliferation of the RPO game, if you've got a good quarterback like Joe Burrow, who's been running this his whole life, if you've got a good quarterback, the defense really just can't be right at any point in time because he's going to make the correct read and make you wrong.
And it really comes down in that RPO thing really to a quarterback who does the mesh point well. And I know I'm getting down in the weeds for a lot of people, but I watched some games over the weekend, and it really goes back. Look, if you don't know where the ball is, this goes back to the old single wing, and I date myself. But Delaware was a legendary coach. Anyway, he ran the single wing for years. They used to call, back in the day, they used to call the quarterback the spinner back.
Yeah.
Where he would take the ball, turn his back to the defense. The skilled players would gather around him. We're talking about 19, 20, 30 stuff. And you wouldn't know which way the ball was coming out. There's a lot of that. What Urban Meyer has evolved to over the years, what the RPOs are over the years, and just think of this next time you watch one of these games. When you ride that tailback into the line or down the line, and he either gives it or takes it at the last minute, that's what we're talking about. The post-snap read that's so confusing for defenses that have made really the game so, I guess, fun to watch.
Talking to Dennis Dodd, the National College Football writer, and yeah, you're right. I mean, it's single wing. It's and by the way, Tubby Raymond was the one who came up with Delaware wing T. I just looked it up real quick. Delaware wing T, which they ran, which a ton of high schools still like to run. We have a couple here in this area that still love to run it. And the interesting thing about it is, like I look at a guy like Willie Fritz at Tulane, Dennis, who basically I watched him when he was at Sam Houston State in the league that I call games. I watched him invent a new offense. He and his guys basically got together, Bob DeBess, and they put together a triple option out of the spread formation, where instead of putting the two wings, like you remember Georgia Tech, everyone remembers Paul Johnson and Army and Navy and all those guys. Well, instead of doing that, they just took their wings and put them out as slot receivers, but they're basically running the same stuff out of that. It's just in a shotgun formation. Well, Willie Fritz has taken that to Tulane. They're running for 300 yards a game, and that's the evolution. Is it's all still fundamental football from the 1900s, the 1910s or whatever. It's just done out of more exotic formations with better athletes. Yeah,
it's about tricking the defense. We talk about head trauma and can these kids tackle anymore? And it's like, no. The game has always been, I don't want to say finesse is the most physical game out there, but it's always been about tricking the defense or the defense not being tricked. Yes, there's some physical mismatches, but not so much these days between FBS and SDS. Yes, but at the top level, all these guys are, everybody except the service academies are running some form of the same thing. And I go back to Chip Kelly, who's been a big question to me the last few weeks. What's Chip Kelly done at UCLA? And I said, part of me is there's a huge talent, I guess a lack of talent there. I didn't know how bad it was when Jim Moore Jr. left. The other part is, no matter how much talent he gets there, everybody, he reinvented, they fine-tuned that offense in 2009 with Oregon. Everybody's recruited to it defensively, and everybody's using it offensively, some part of it, except the service academy. So how does that make Chip Kelly find out? You're just going to have to get dudes just like everybody else to win.
And in the end, it's all about Jimmys and Joes, not necessarily X's and O's. We know that. Dennis, I wanted to ask you, even though I was calling the game, I stopped watching the Northwestern State LSU game after the first quarter. Did the Demons hold on to win? They were leading 7-3 after the first quarter. Did they hold on?
They somehow squeaked it out.
Yeah. I'm curious, though, when you evaluating results of those types of games, and I'm obviously on the side of, yes, FBS schools with a 12-game schedule, there is room to play an FCS school. I honestly wish it would just be an in-state matchup, though. If it's going to be FBS, FCS, I'd like to see it be an in-state school that comes in. That being said, how do you evaluate those matchups? Because it's 7-3 after the first quarter. NSU's leading. It's 24-14 at halftime. LSU's only up by 10. People I know are oohing and eyeing about the halftime score, but then they come out and they outscore the Demons 41-0 in the second half and win going away. How do you evaluate a game like that in terms of an overall resume for a team?
Well, I'm more in games like that. I'm more interested in the point spread and making my pick and how that figures. I had New Mexico State in the 55 against Alabama. Well, I won.
I did too. That was one of my picks.
I thought Nick would call off the Dogs. I don't think he did, but 62-10, so I won. Last week, Clemson, Texas A&M, that was an interesting spread. I think it was 23.5, 24, and A&M, and that's a different game you're talking about. But that was a backdoor cover. But the games themselves are just to get you ready. Georgia's played nobody 3 games. I can't put them anywhere near the top 4 because I don't know how good they are going into Notre Dame. I think they're good enough to win the SEC and good enough to win the East. That's what talent evaluation's been. And we've seen them play at the top level, but I don't know how that figures Saturday night against Notre Dame. I think they're better because they're at home, but they haven't played anybody yet. There aren't any receivers. The top 4 receivers, I think the stat was, had not caught a college pass. Their current top 4 receivers have not caught a college pass coming into the season. Okay, how's that going to work against Notre Dame? I don't know. So I think they're more tuned up than anything else. Keep people healthy and move on.
And my thing, and I'm super against preseason polls. I hate preseason polls. I want nothing to do with them. I want the first poll to come out the last week of October. At that point, we're going to have a better handle on it. Because let's be honest, Dennis, if you're just evaluating based on results this year, LSU is the number 1 team in the country because they've had the best win.
No question. They put themselves out there and won the game under the best win of the season by far. And I have them 3 only because I just say Alabama, Clemson based on reputation. Call me wrong, but I have enough. You're absolutely right. Teams put themselves out. The same rules still apply for AD. You've heard them talk about it for years. Try to play an A game, that's LSU Texas. A B game, that's a Power 5 versus a group of 5.
Yeah, Utah
and then maybe
State.
A C game and the non-con and FCS. They still try to do it, most of it. But there's no question LSU has the best accomplishment of this entire season. We'll see, but I think they've done great.
Obviously, a game that will, I think, decide a lot about one man's reputation is Michigan-Wisconsin, and yes. I keep going back to it, and I just again remind me why I'm supposed to believe that Jim Harbaugh is an elite coach. Is it just because he was good at the NFL level and he was good at San Diego, or what am I supposed to believe about Jim Harbaugh based on the results he's gotten as the head coach at Michigan?
Well, he made Stanford into, I would say pretty much at that point a national power or a top 25 program, which they seldom been in previous years. And David Shaw's carried it way beyond that in his time there. Took the Niners to the Super Bowl. Has been a head coach for 9 years, but hasn't won so much as a division. You hear how hard he is to work with. When he left Stanford, they were sorry to see him go, but they weren't sorry to see him go, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Good coach, hard to work with. And so his shelf life, and now we're in year 5 at Michigan, is about that. That's what he's been. Great coach. I'm not disparaging his coaching. But I'm at the point now, after I think I'm going to change my pick if I can. I think Ohio State's going to win the league based on what I've seen through 3 weeks. Michigan, they got blown out at Ohio State last year. Fundamental problem: lack of skill players, lack of athletes that match up in the Big Ten and therefore nationally. Shea Patterson's a good quarterback.
Sure.
I don't think he's a great quarterback, and by the end of the year, he may be laps behind Justin Fields at Ohio State. And to go up to Wisconsin, it plays into their hands because it's going to be a smash-mouth physical game. And at the end of the day, I don't think Jim Harbaugh is up by 7. Or Jeff Randall, he's really go again. But,
Yeah.
Can't beat the best in the Big Ten.
The cries start happening again. Other than Georgia, Notre Dame, and Michigan, Wisconsin, is there a particular game that you kind of have your eye on this weekend?
I think USC Utah, because I think Utah is the class of the Pac-12 now. That's Saturday night. I think a lot of Kyle Whittingham. I don't think they're ready for the Pac-12. I don't know if they're a playoff team, but hey, if you win them all, how are you going to keep them out? I think they have a chance to win them all. But this is the type of game, given what the Pac-12 is these days, that USC wins. They're at home. They just throw over the top. They got the receivers. The kid, Keaton, I keep forgetting his last name. The freshman can throw. Yeah. He's got receivers. Amon Ross St. Brown, Michael Pittman, Tyler Bonds are pretty good receivers. I can see USC winning that. And then what do you do with the Pac-12? Then it becomes year 16 without a championship. Because all their best teams would at least have one loss.
Last thing for you, Dennis. Dennis Dodd from CBS joining us. I'm hearing a lot of buzz right now about, once again, Central Florida, UCF. Again, the buzz is happening. They're top 20. And, okay, here we go. Are they worthy of being in the playoff? I contend, and I will continue to contend, that I don't care what any group of 5 team does, the committee will not allow them into the college football playoff. And I hate to say it for UCF's sake, but if they stumble at all, or I think if they even have one close game in conference, I think the committee's leaving them out.
I think so. If we've learned anything in these first 5 years of the playoff, it's schedule strength matters, or what the committee views.
Yeah, perceived
schedule strength. Yeah. And if UCF loses all of its teams that they pick this week, 2 Power 5s in a row, they will have played a 12-game schedule without playing a single ranked team as it stands right now. I think they've done that before and gotten there. So, look, in their chief competition right now is probably Boise State. They would probably be the head-to-head with Boise State because I think the American depth-wise is pretty good this year.
Yeah.
You got Memphis sitting there who's favored. Favored in every game they play this year. Not to say they'll win them all, but Cincinnati's good, I think. So they would probably deserve it, but just don't start this drumbeat about the playoff again because it's just going to get really ugly, and Danny White's going to say something. And I give them all credit. They deserve to be in there. I don't think they deserve to be in a playoff.
No, and by the way, don't sleep on Tulane, Dennis. I'm telling you, they're someone to worry with this year in the American. There's no doubt about it.
That's part of it. I love Willie Fritz.
Yeah, and he's, again, if you ever want a fun deep dive, go chat with him about the offense that they created at Sam Houston. He and Bob DeBest, because they're doing some different things with a triple option out of the spread that a lot of teams aren't really doing, and it's pretty cool and innovative to watch. So. Dennis,
I've had that conversation his first year he got the offense.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's fun to watch. I love Willie Fritz. I'm glad he's not in the Southland anymore. I can tell you that. Dennis, it was a pleasure, my friend. Always great catching up, and we look forward to catching up with you soon, my man.
All right, Patrick. Thank you.
All right, Dennis Dodd. Good peeps, man. Dennis Dodd is good folks. CBS Sports National College Football writer.